Hello, so today what I want to do is show you how to create an assignment in GitHub Classrooms. So here I'm in my classroom. I currently have no assignments, so I'm going to create one. And so first you can give it a prefix. So this one is going to be a exercise. And what's nice about this, or to remember about this, is this will be the beginning of each of your students' repos. So name it something that you want at the beginning of each of them, and name it something that is easy for you to recognize and find later. So we call it exercises, because what this is going to be all the exercises for the semester. I'm not going to give a deadline. I've used this in the past and it doesn't seem to show up anywhere, so I just haven't used it. It's not worth filling out. Next, you can either create a individual or group. I'll make a later video to show you how to do groups because it's a little interesting with the Git organization teams, but this one is going to be individual. Then we get to set up kind of the admin settings for the repos. So for these ones, I'm going to make them private, and I'm not going to grant the students admin access because if they have admin access, they could change and overwrite the visibility of the repos. So I want these private because they're each going to have their own, and at least it gives some layer of prevention for cheating. So I'm going to hit continue. Now this is the really nice thing about GitHub Classrooms is it lets you set up a repository for starters, for like a starting base of the repo. And so what you have to do is make sure it's a templated repo, which essentially is you need to be the owner of that repo, and it needs to be visible from this organization. So the way that I've set it up is I have my own personal organization, and then I have this repo 202 exercises. In the settings, I've gone in and set it to be a template. And I've also, this is a public repo. So it's publicly viewable from anyone, because it just has my starter code, so I don't mind if anyone on GitHub can see it. And then, so what I can do is, then I can find it. So it's going to be 202 exercises. Sometimes it's tricky to find it, so give it the org name. There we go. I'm not going to select any editor because our students are typically using Visual Studio or maybe Atom or something else, but I don't need to set up a online editor tool for them. So I'm gonna hit continue. And so I'm gonna show you kind of what's really nice about, well, I'll wait till the end. We don't have any grading tools. I haven't messed around with GitHub Actions. I don't think I'm going to be able to use them. So maybe in the future. And I'm also not going to, this is a new feature since the last time I set up a classroom, is to enable a pull request for feedback. The reason why I'm not going to set this up is the students could merge or close the pull request. So I'm not really sure how useful it would be. I'd rather just give them feedback on Slack, email, or on their individual assignments in my courses. So I'm not going to set up that pull request. So then I'm going to create the assignment. And so here's what you'll see on that assignment page. And when you have actual students fill them out, you'll actually see all of the assignments here. So here's an example of another class. I can see all of the student repos. And because I've set up rosters, I can look them up by their RIT username, not their GitHub names. I really recommend using the rosters. It's not the easiest because you have to manually keep it up to date, but with your TAs or yourself, the benefit of having a roster makes your life easier down the road. Just a little extra maintenance. But what you want here is to copy this invite link. So if you got here the green button, or up at the top, you can copy this invite link. And now what you want to do here is to put this into your My Courses. That way the students can just click on the link, and then GitHub will walk them through the automated process to create an exercise. So I'm going to make a separate video for that for the students. I'll link out to it when I'm done with that. But essentially they need a GitHub account. If you've set up a roster, they claim who they are, and then GitHub does everything for creating them a repo. And so here is an example of a repo that I've done for another class. So this was just the starting point. And what's really nice is you'll see here GitHub Classroom made initial commit. So here's all of this code, but it submits it as one commit. So they don't get the commit history. They get whatever that repo is at that point in time. So it's not a fork. It's more of a copy at that point in time. So you do need to make sure that everything you want the students to have, you have in that template repo before they click on any links, because you won't be able to update that repo and push those changes to all of these ones. There is no connection between that template repo and each of these copies of that repo. So make sure you set up that template repo with everything you want beforehand before you have students creating stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have to manually copy those files to them. I had to do this last year with this class. I had to update some stuff, and I had to just put zips in My Courses. So if you can set it up beforehand, your life is easier down the road. But yeah, then they have all of this stuff. And so like I do some fancy stuff with GitHub Pages, and they get all of those files. They don't have to do any of that stuff. For this year, I've made Unity exercises for each thing. That way I had a few students that didn't put their Unity projects in the GitHub repo. So here I'm hoping to try to prevent that. Like, here's a exercise, a project already made for you. Just open it and build it. And they're good to go. So yeah, that's setting up the repo. The grading is kind of simple. Once they have all of the projects graded, you can just click on Go to Repo, and you can view their repo. So just like a normal GitHub repo, you can see the times of commits. So if you want to grade anything before a particular time, just jump to the latest commit before the due date, and you can browse the code. Yeah, and that's setting up a GitHub repo.